everyone, and welcome again to another edition of the 0 Hour Squared Classics. My name is Mike Trujillo. Got a very, very good one for you today. Well, I say that about all of them, but this one is just an interview. Most of the other things that you've been seeing has been footage. This interview was done in 1996 with none other than Rudolf Schenker, founding member and longtime guitarist of the Scorpions. It was a really nice treat to interview him down at Tingley Coliseum. It was for their 13th album entitled Pure Instinct. Now keep in mind, 1996, I was like half the age I am now, so I was younger looking. The questions were kind of silly, and well, it is what it is, but it was a lot of fun to be there at that particular concert and interview one of my favorite guitar heroes, Rudolf Schenker, and one of my favorite all-time metal bands, the Scorpions. So I hope you enjoy this. Now real quickly, this was for Pure Instinct. What you've seen right here on your screen is the first rendition of their album cover, which shows naked people being watched by a bunch of animals, kind of as if they were in a zoo. That album cover subsequently got replaced by them just being just the band, and that happened to a lot of Scorpion albums, unfortunately. But it is what it is. I really hope you enjoy this. This is some old stuff, so keep in mind, like I said, really young, but it's also really fun. I only have one more question for you all out there. Albuquerque, are you ready to rock like a hurricane? Are you ready? Here we go with Rudolf Schenker from the Scorpions, Pure Instinct album and interview 1996, right here on the 0 Hour Squared Classics. Okay. Hello everybody, welcome again to the 0 Hour Squared show here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I would like to welcome a very, very special guest. I grew up listening to this man's music and his entire band. I'm sitting here with Rudolf Schenker from the Scorpions. I'd like to welcome him to Albuquerque again. Yes. They played here quite a few times and always rock the Tingley Coliseum, and they're here again, unfortunately, for the 0 Hour Squared show.
And we brought the rain with us.
What's that?
We brought the rain with us.
Yes, yeah, that's great. We needed that. And
no hurricane, but rain.
Hurricane, well, they're going to rock us like a hurricane, though. Yeah. That's the thing. And we're going to be right in the doldrum of the storm, and I'll be ready.
Right, yes.
I'll be ready. And I'd like to first off by asking you guys, man, welcome back to Albuquerque. And you're in support of your 13th album, right? Pure Instinct.
Right, yes.
Why don't you tell us about the touring right now that you've got going on, and what does it pretty much entail as far as the worldwide basis goes? Is it going to be pretty much a worldwide tour against the Pure Instinct?
It will be a worldwide tour. We started already on the 5th in El Paso.
Right.
We will be with the whole tour will be until the 19th of August. Then we go over to Germany. We have a big outdoor show in Germany. From there we go to Japan directly. I think we start on the 28th in Japan, play there for 7 days, and then we go from there directly to all these Asian places like Seoul, play in Jakarta, in Manila, then Kuala Lumpur, in Taipei, Bangkok. Then from there we go to Russia, play there for 5 shows, and then we go and do the rest of Europe, going to everywhere in Europe.
Right.
And from there, I think until Christmas, and then in the new year we will go to South America, South Africa, and Australia.
Wow, so you're completely doing your job, getting out there and
Yes, of course, yeah.
flooding the roads again.
Look, we did it in the early days, and we will do it now because it's always good for us to do that, because we're not based on one particular market. That's very important. You know,
Right.
what our idea was to play everywhere in the world. And that's good, especially when sometimes the market changed a little bit drastically.
Right, especially here in America.
That's
as you can
right.
see.
In this case, we like to play here. We want to still go to our fans and play there. But also the album is doing fantastic in Europe, in Asia, very, very good.
Right.
And in South America. And so here we know we have to work, but that's what we're doing now.
Before I go on to any of these questions, as far as the mass media here in the United States, we're seeing a big lack of the push that we used to see for bands like yourself and bands that have been pushing it for a lot of years, and you know, we're kind of slow, and it's like the trendy kind of thing going on. What do you have to say to respond to that kind of behavior that's going on with the mass media, particularly say MTV? You know, who took off what the only medium we had for Scorpions type music, you know, Headbangers Ball, that kind of thing. You know, what?
I tell you one thing, it was a natural thing, because first of all, the rock of the 80s became a little bit stiff in the end. This was too much a formula which everybody was following. The video formula was many girls, much hair, because, you know, and I think the kids, somehow didn't like it. They started their own thing with 3 chords and even less, and they start playing. And of course now of MTV, MTV has the power now to see a trend and blow it up,
Right.
like a very big thing. That I think is on one hand very good, and the other not, because now I think the MTV and all these music channels and stuff like this, they want to also always look for a trend. That's the
Right.
same situation like in the 70s, especially the 70s in England, where the music press, because they want to sell their magazine, they was always looking for a new trend, new
Right.
trend. In the end, it's very bad for musicians because they can't build up the basic. You know what it means? The musician starts maybe, let's say, with alternative. Alternative is already out, becomes maybe normal music. So there may be 3 bands surviving. This band is out. What they did alternative, they can't be good. So either they may be changing just like their outfit and their names and everything, and nobody recognizes them
Right.
this music.
Right.
Then it's working. If not, then other bands coming, other
Right.
people with 3 chords.
Right.
And I think that's a little bit the dangerous thing. If you switch too much,
Right.
there's no build up to a band like what
no
we did.
solidity.
Yes,
there.
what we did was we was playing as a opening act, then as a special guest, and as a headliner, building up the fan base, mouse to mouse. Hey, you have to go to this band, and that's now a little bit dangerous because
Right.
bands get made up very
Right,
fast
right.
because of the video. Make a good video, spend a lot of money, get the band very cheap, make a lot of money out of it. And that's a little dangerous thing where in the end the musician is only somebody you're using, and when he's not working anymore, throw it away. That's
Right.
that is dangerous.
Right, which is completely profound because in that sense that you are signing for the artist side rather than somebody who's a record company, a major label, getting somebody off the street and saying, okay, this is the song you make, this is the song you write, this is the song we're going to put out, after that, goodbye.
Yeah.
Basically.
So that could be possible.
Right,
Yeah.
and on that note, I'm going to ask you, after so many years together and various trends and changes that we're mentioning now, like the big alternative kind of thing, and that we lived through, the Scorpions have always, being and remaining a true heavy, progressing and always, headstrong. You guys are very headstrong about your music. A band not succumbing to the sellout trends and attitudes that everybody else is. In other words, tell us about the heart of the Scorpions. And I take this from one of your songs because I found it to be what I think of the Scorpions today here in 1996. And that being from the song But the Best for You is this line here. There's nothing else that we got, but our love is like a rock.
Yeah.
And standing up against this tide. And that's very fitting for what's going on here in the United States and us working against that tide of the corporate power, against the artists.
I mean, first of all, this this lyrics this time are very personal. It means very close, talking about really basic kind of stories between 2 persons, maybe even, or between a few people. Not as much like we did with Crazy World, with Wind of Change, where we had kind of maybe big message in our mind. We don't want to stay a little bit back with our message, because if you give the people too much,
Right.
then they get bored from that. In this case, for us, this time was important to get it more personal and to give a little bit insight to start thinking what it's all about, this world and everything.
Right. So it's not spreading yourselves so farly thin that you're not able to relate to everybody. As with this album, now you're kind of coming back again with the angle that, hey, we're still the rock and roll band of the Scorpions that
Yes.
we've always been, and we're back here again for you, as well as being able to cover what's going on throughout the world in the
right,
political and
yeah.
social climate.
Yeah, but it's always, you have to make it, you have to be very careful and not overdoing it.
Right. Well, you guys are the masters at it,
Yeah.
man. I commend
Thank
you
you.
guys for another great album,
Okay,
Pure
thank
Instinct.
you very much.
And I'm going to have my cameraman zoom in on this. I know the cover concept was done by, I wrote it down, Joe Morawski.
Yes, right here.
But a very important kind of album cover concept, of course, every one of them is.
Yeah.
What does this symbolize for the
It's
Scorpions?
symbolized
and the album
for
itself.
Scorpions, maybe also a little bit, but mostly for the people. The people are mostly, let's say, they're building their own cage. They're not using instinct anymore. They're using the technology by computerizing. Everybody gets his number, and immediately they're having a cage around them, and the cage, it's don't give them the possibility to use the instinct again. The animals so far, they're using their instinct still. I think what's important is that we're not using our technology too much, that we're hiding our instinct, and because we have to use the technique, but not the technique has to use us.
Right.
In this case, instinct is a very important point, because when you only go by your eyes, there is a certain circle you can see, but the most things coming outside of the circle, building here already, and before they're going into the circle you can see, you can feel it by instinct. In this case, what the animal is doing by this, they notice already,
Right.
even when kind of can't see, and that
Right.
we have also, but we losing it by using too much technology,
Right.
and getting more into the position. Technology is everything. It's not everything.
Right. So basically, mankind cannot lose its instinct, or if it does,
Yeah, then you are in the cage.
Where are we?
Then yes, where are we?
Where are we,
Then
you know?
you're a number, and you get controlled by
right.
too many things.
Right. I don't mean to inundate you and jump around from here to there. I've got a lot of different types of questions. Some of them led to the others, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you about the overall work that went into this album. That being your 13th,
Yeah.
recording. According to your bio sheet, it mentioned it being a completely relaxed setting for the Scorpions as far as its creation going. How detrimental is it, do you feel, for a band, say, like yourselves, being veterans in the rock industry, or even a new band, that you're in a relaxed position, as opposed to, hey, the record company's knocking on your door every day saying, we got to put this product out?
Yeah.
After all those albums and all these years, it sounds very comfortable. It sounds relaxed. Tell us about that, and as I said, how important is it?
Important for us first was that we're not using always the same streets. In this case, we had the idea to produce this album in my studio, where we did mostly the pre-production. The idea came from an engineer who was involved already in Face the Heat and Crazy World. And he said, look, give me 7 days to show you guys that I can produce very good, and I will do it in your studio, Rudolf. I said, okay, let's go for it. We did the thing, and out of 7 days became 3 months, because it was a great relationship, it was a great creative kind of process. We not did pre-production this time again. What we did, we start doing the when the song was there, we start to make the whole we would call it in English arrangement, and from the arrangement immediately we went into the studio and put it directly on tape. In this case, we had the freshness. We have not the situation like when you do a pre-production, the pre-production is done, you play it to the producer and say, okay, now start producing. Then there are 3 matching moments you want to recreate in the in the recording, and then you can't do it again, because this matching moment is only once there.
Right.
You maybe can create other matching moment, but not you can't create this again. In this case, what we did was to record this directly on tape, and it was a good situation also that everybody has different little studios at home, Matthias, Klaus, and when maybe somebody was working with Erwin on something, my studio, everybody else could go to their studios and could maybe work out other ideas instead of sitting somewhere in a hotel room killing a minibar.
Right.
Because when I can start.
Right.
Oh, wait 2 hours, then we are done. Okay,
Right.
another whiskey.
I can see how that would be a pain,
So, and you're sitting somewhere in Vancouver, Los Angeles, and the time is passing by. Okay, you have also a little portable studio, but sometimes it's good if you're changing positions. And also later on, because we used also Keith Olsen for a different kind of reason, because Klaus and me was invited in a songwriter workshop to Bali. The idea came from the Indonesian government, 50 years independence from Holland, and there was 40 American writers, and Klaus and me, the only one from Europe, and one girl from England, Cassie Dennis, invited to Bali to write with an Asian musician.
Wow.
And the interesting thing was, we said immediately, yes, we have to go there. The interesting thing was, there was on the American side was like Mark Hudson, there was who worked with Aerosmith and with us, There was Jack Blade and Tommy Shaw from them Yankees.
Right.
There was Lisa Fischer from Rolling Stones, background singer. There was also Gary Moore, songwriter of the year.
Right.
Many high-class composers, and it was great to work with them on Bali. And the teams was picked out of the top hats.
Right.
It's like, you know, Rudolf and Klaus write with Titi Puspa and James Sander. So you sit there with a keyboard and with a drum machine and electric and acoustic guitar. So, and then now you have to start. Some of them couldn't speak English, and then you start. You know,
Right.
one melody is flying around. You start, okay, let's do this. And then 4 hours later, the song police came in. A good-looking girl, black hair, bikini on.
Oh.
Then, hey guys, we have a song already. We said yes, we have one called "When You Came Into My Life." So, and this came out. We don't finish it, moment. It came out, and it was fantastic to see how to write with other people. And we wrote three other songs with other Indonesian people. So, and in the end, we played, when we came back home, we played the songs to our guys, to the management, and everybody said, "When You Came Into My Life, you have to record. It's a great song." We called Keith Olsen because Irving was already involved in the Van Halen project. We called Keith Olsen and said, "Keith, here we have something very interesting. Send me a tape." We were sending him a tape. He responds back immediately and said, "Hey guys, that's a great song. Let's go for it." When he came, we booked the Wisseloord studio in Holland. And when we came to Holland, we had a few other songs to said to him, "Here, what do you think about?" Okay. White Child with the other one and two others. We recorded this, and it worked very good too. And I think we recorded until the middle of January. Then Irving came back over from Van Halen project. He was he was mixing the whole album, and beginning of February the album was done.
Right. Cool. Well, I've been signaled that it's time to cut this short. Unfortunately, I'm going to wrap this up with one quick question.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, if your music, if one videotape or one CD of any of your albums, maybe a compilation of it, was to be buried in the future, dug up by future ancestors or even aliens, maybe 200-300 years down the road, if they picked up a package of the Scorpions and didn't have anything to play it on, but was wondering, what's this all about? What in one line would you like to be said of the Scorpions and all the experiences that you've ever done and had, you know, from playing, from opening gates up in Europe and Eastern Europe, through all the worldwide tours you've ever done? Just sum it up in one line for what you'd like to be said about the Scorpions' career.
Music was our first love.
That's good.
Okay.
That'll work. Well, once again, that wraps it up for the 0 Hour Square Show. Muchas gracias to
Okay.
Rudolf Schenker
Thank you.
from the
Okay.
Scorpions. I appreciate it
Okay.
very much running it
Thank you.
over.
Okay.
I'm Mike Trujillo. This is 0 Hour Square Show. That wraps it up. Thank you to the Scorpions. And that wraps it up. Take it easy.